I like solving a good puzzle, but some puzzles simply don't have a solution. Charley Ross's disappearance is one of the most baffling unsolved cases in history, and I'm about to share the shocking details that keep this mystery alive. Did you know that Charley Ross was just 4 years old when he was abducted in 1874, and his case became one of the first missing child cases to capture national attention? This mystery still haunts us today, as Charley's whereabouts remain unknown. Today, we're diving into the gripping story of Charley Ross, whose disappearance from a quiet neighborhood in Pennsylvania marked one of America's first highly publicized missing child cases. This heart-wrenching story not only shook the small community of Germantown, but also ignited a nationwide conversation about child safety and the role of media in raising awareness about such tragedies. As we explore Charley's case, we'll see how it shaped future responses to child abductions and what it reveals about society's evolving attitudes towards the safety of children. To really understand the significance of Charley Ross's disappearance, we need to take a step back into the 1870s. Picture this, a time when the world was vastly different. Families were often large, and the concept of child safety was still in its infancy. Back then, children played outside freely, and parents rarely worried about what might happen to them. However, as the century progressed, the media began to emerge as a powerful force, with newspapers starting to cover stories of crime and missing persons more extensively. This was a time before modern technology and communication, where news traveled slowly, but the tragic case of Charley Ross would change all that. It sparked a media frenzy that captivated the nation and raised awareness about the vulnerability of children in a rapidly changing world. On July 1, 1874, Charley Ross was playing outside his home in affluent Germantown, Pennsylvania, along with his little brother, Walter. They loved to play outside. They recognized the two men who approached as ones that had given them candy on several other occasions. This time, the men offered them some firecrackers. The men beckoned them to come to their buggy where they could get their prize. The boys hopped in, and off went the buggy with the two boys and the two men inside. The buggy quickly disappeared into the city, but the two boys were scared, watching their home quickly fading away. Charley began to cry, so the two men pulled over in front of a shop. One of them gave Walter a quarter and told him that there were firecrackers inside the shop. The buggy sped away with Charley inside. Their frantic parents, Christian and Sarah Ross, immediately launched a desperate search, reaching out to neighbors and the police, but to no avail. The following days were filled with anguish, as hope began to dwindle. Meanwhile, a neighbor told the boys' father, Christian, that she'd seen the boys in a buggy moving away from their home. Christian's wife was in Atlantic City, and W decided to keep the information to himself. But just a few days later, Christian's wife found out about the missing boys. Fortunately, Walter was found and returned safely. The case took a darker turn when ransom notes began to surface, demanding $20,000 for Charley's return. The police attempted to trace these notes, but the leads went cold, leaving the family in turmoil. With every passing day, the hope of finding Charley faded. 5 months later, on December 13th, the police finally had a lead. The home of Judge Charles Van Brunt was burglarized by two career criminals, Joseph Douglas and William Mosher. Both men had guns. After the police entered the residence, a gun fight ensued. Mosher was shot and died at the scene, while Douglas was mortally wounded. While lying there, his life slowly draining out of him, Douglas admitted to the kidnapping of Charley Ross. Witness accounts differ, but he said Charley was either deceased or at a location only he knew. Douglas passed away shortly thereafter. Meanwhile, the police asked Walter to view the bodies to see if they were the kidnappers. He said that they were. The emotional toll was profound, and the lack of answers only heightened their despair. Despite the obstacles, the search continued, driven by a community that refused to give up on Charley. Charley's father spent around $60,000 looking for his son until his death in 1897. Over the years, several men claimed to be Charley. One of the most interesting stories was that of Gustav Blair of Phoenix, Arizona. He said that he lived in a cave after the kidnapping and was eventually adopted, and told him what his real name was. He went to court to be recognized as Charley and won, but the family never believed it. Despite decades of searching for Charley, he was never found. Despite the lack of resolution, Charley's case led to significant changes in how society approached child safety. It prompted discussions about the need for better protective measures for children and inspired future legislation aimed at preventing abductions. Organizations dedicated to protecting children began to emerge, and Charley Ross became a symbol of the importance of vigilance in safeguarding our youth. The mystery of Charley Ross remains one of the most haunting unsolved cases in American history. If you found Charley Ross's story as gripping as I did, make sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to find out more about Charley's story, I've left some resources in the description below. If you're a fan of content like this, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And don't forget to check out our other videos. See you next time.